Mr. Elie Gholl. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies.
Yes. So I'll quickly introduce you, sir. Yeah. So Elie Gholl, he's Precast Business Line Manager for Dextra. He has more than 20 years of experience in the construction sector, held many managerial positions at Dextra since 2002, and was appointed in his current position as Precast Business Line Manager in 2019. Graduate with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering in 1996, sorry. Mr. Gold worked throughout the Middle East, mainly in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, on large residential and infrastructure projects like Dubai Metro, Riyadh Metro, Burj Khalifa, Abu Dhabi, Midfield Terminal projects, and many more. He's passionate about precast construction, curious and always eager to meet people, listen, learn, and share experiences with a motto of a day without learning something new is a wasted life. So today he will be sharing his learnings with us. We would have loved to have him here, but we could not have him here, so he's joining us live. And today his topic of presentation is Precast Elements Connections with Mechanical Splicing. Case studies in India and abroad. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would have loved to be with you. Unfortunately, we all know the circumstances at the moment and hope that in the next editions, I will be among you physically in India. Allow me just to share my presentation. So today we'll talk briefly about the connection of precast element with grouted sleeves. I'll just list a few common methods of connecting precast element, mainly vertical elements, columns and walls, and then talk more specifically about grouted sleeves, and then share some pictures and projects and videos about the applications. Before we do that, allow me just to share with you a 2-minute video about Dextra so you can know about our company and what we do in the precast field and in other sectors also. So as a summary for this short video, we have three factories, one in Bangkok in Thailand, another one in Mumbai in India, and the third one in Guangzhou in China. We have three product lines, the concrete reinforcement products, what is commonly known as mechanical sleeves, and the one we are going to talk about it today are the grouted sleeves, the one for precast. Nevertheless, all can be used for precast projects. We have a range of engineered bar system for marine tie rods, architectural systems for roof structures and facade, and post-tensioning and heavy lifting bars for bridges and viaduct. Finally, a grout solution range. Mainly it includes active and passive anchors made of steel or glass fiber. We have soft eye for tunneling projects and sonic logging for deep foundation projects. All those products has been delivered for more than 10,000 projects worldwide, including India. And as you can see, they cover most heavy infrastructure projects and residential buildings, residential and commercial buildings. To go back to our topic of today, I will just show quickly a few of the most common precast element connections. And again, it's not all the methods, it's the most common ones, mainly for the vertical connections. Of course, the most common application or system are the corrugated tubes. As of today, they still constitute the majority of the connection of precast element. They have been used for so many years. And if I need to compare with the cast in situ industry, they are equivalent to the overlap. We don't question them, we use them because we are used to without thinking too much about it. Another method, an interesting method, are the column shoes, column or wall shoes. They are commonly used in Europe, the US, and some part of Asia. Uh, they are expensive, but they are very nice and interesting tools to connect precast element. Pocket foundations, and what we are going to discuss today, the grouted sleeves that are on the rise in terms of application and economical benefits, I would say, for the last 7, 8 years worldwide and in India in particular. So what are grouted sleeves? Grouted sleeves are a way to connect precast element by injecting grout into a sleeve that has a cavity where the protruding bar of the bottom element or top element is inserted inside. And then once the grout is set, we have a proper connection. Most brands of grouted sleeves, reputable brands of grouted sleeves, are compliant with international codes and standards like the Eurocode, the British Standard, the ISO 15835 for performance requirement, the ACI, and for sure in India as per the Indian standard 16172. Most of those brands are grouted sleeve from reputable brands are compatible with rebar up to grade 600 MPa, or if it's in the US, up to grade 80 KSI. And depending on the brand, some of them, they have their own grout, other accept or recommend locally available cementitious non-shrink grout with a minimum compressive strength. Usually it's 65 MPa or above. The advantages of using grouted sleeves is mainly in reducing the consumption of grout. If we look at the volume of the cavity of a grouted sleeve compared to corrugated tubes, we can easily save 10 times the volume of grout. And because we have the saving in the volume of grout, it would yield into saving of installation time. So we would also save on manpower. It also improves on safety on site because we have much shorter protruding bar and it is a less risk for injuries on site. The shapes of those couplers are excellent to bond properly with concrete. And one of the most important advantage or benefit of using grouted sleeve is that it provides continuity of the rebar, meaning that the designer or the precaster do not have to redesign its column when they are using grouted sleeves. It is as if the bar is continuous from one element to the other. Most of the grouted sleeves are compatible with locally available non-shrink cementitious grouts. Most suppliers provide the grouted sleeves with a wide accessory range, including positioners, sealing discs, plugs, so on and so forth. And the grouted sleeves provide tolerance for bars misalignment from 20 up to 25 mm, depending on the rebar diameter and the model used. There are two types of grouted sleeves that are available in the market. What we call the half grouted sleeve, where one part is a threaded portion and the second part is a cavity where the grout would be injected. And the threaded portion is usually either a cut and cold forged thread or a rolled thread. They are short, compact in size, and they might come depending on the manufacturer, either in a large model or a slim model. The large model might have more misalignments for tolerance for misalignment because it has a larger internal diameter, whereas the slimmer version will have less misalignment tolerance. Nevertheless, it is compact and perfect for walls and heavily congested columns. In terms of performance, they both perform the same. And the second family of grouted sleeves are the what we call the fully grouted sleeve, where no threading is required for the top bar. They are usually larger in size, longer in size, and more expensive. The applications of fully grouted sleeves also is slightly different because the one you can see just for illustration on the left would be used for connecting dry connection for precast element, like the half grouted sleeves, whereas the one you can see on the right hand side, it's just an illustration, but you can have different brand, different models, is mainly used for wet connection, most usually for horizontal connection between columns and beams. Just to let you know, in Dextra, we have the four models in our range. The Grautec L and the Grautec S are the half grouted sleeves, and the Grautec F and the Grautec P are the fully grouted sleeves. Grautec F stands for fully, Grautec P stands for position, and it's important because when we have a wet connection, we need to reduce it as much as possible. And the Grautec P can slide over the bar, place the two precast elements next to each other, reverse back the coupler to its final position, screw it, and then inject the grout. Also, in our grouted sleeve range at Dextra, we can share with the designers and precasters a CAD library. And last October, we have launched our library on all plan software. So if some of the precasters available in India are using the all plan software, they can just download our library for free. In terms of application, of course, we can install the coupler either in the top element or the bottom precast element. And again, I'm talking more into the vertical applications, columns or walls. When we place our grouted sleeve in the top element and then we place the elements on top of each other, the protruding bar of the bottom element will go into the cavity and then we will inject the grout onto the coupler. The illustration on the right hand side is when the grouted sleeve is on the bottom element. Here we cannot inject. What we will do, we will fill the coupler with grout and then drop the top element. In terms of applications, of course, we can use it to connect wall panels. whether they are shear walls or non-load bearing walls. And it's one of the most common applications usually. Some pictures where the grouted sleeve are on the bottom, they are lifted in position, installed in place, braced, and then grouted later on. Another application in precast column to beam or frame structures. Again, we can use the grouted sleeve to connect the foundation to the column or column to column. And here I have shown some other couplers that can be used in the precast and not only grouted sleeve, like standard threaded couplers or headed bars at the corbel level. These are some pictures about the precast column with grouting. The one in the middle is in the factory where they are making the cage, and the left and right pictures are once the column is installed on site. One of the most common application also in India and the Middle East, for example, are precast pipe racks. We are seeing a trend now to move from steel pipe racks in oil and gas projects to precast concrete pipe racks. One of the reasons, and not the only one, is that stricter restrictions on fire rating of steel structures are being implemented and imposed, which is quite expensive. And maintaining the fire rating on steel structure is also a very expensive operation. So designers and clients are moving more into concrete precast pipe rack. And again, like for column beam structure frame, we can connect the column to the foundation or column to column with grouted sleeves. And in India, we have a few examples on that. Some pictures of precast element using grouting. And if I will share with you also some other pictures. This is a project where it's a stadium, and then we have on the top a 10-meter cantilever. I will just put the pointer. So this is a 10-meter cantilever beam, and the designer decided to have a connection here with Grautec, and this is, you can see the connection. It was lifted in place. These are the protruding bar with the sealing disc. It was placed into position, and the grout was injected. And as you can see, this is the final position. On top of that, they have put a roof structure just for the rain and the sun. It's a very interesting project to show you that even though it's a critical connection here, the grouted sleeve provided a decent continuity of the rebar strength because there's a lot of moment at that point. Of course, columns are one of the most applications of connecting precast elements. You have the grouted sleeve in the bottom, and as you can see, they are quite congested. It means that we can still insert grouted sleeve in heavily congested columns. On the top, you have the protruding bar. This would be the casted element before moving to site. Those pipes are the injection tubes for the inlet and the outlet of the grout. These are 40 mm rebars or 32 mm rebars, again to show that heavy precast columns can be connected with grouted sleeves. This is a 1.2 meter by 1.2 meter column with the grout inside to be taken to site and inserted. And this is the other side of the column. What is interesting to highlight is this full length is not the protruding bar that will go into the coupler. There will be a cast in situ beam, and just part of the top bar would be the connection with the N+1 column. You can see it here, the column installed. Ultimately, there would be a cast in situ beam once the hollow core slabs are installed, and then the N+1 column will come and be installed properly and the grout injected. A big trend now worldwide is modular or 3D construction. Whether those modules are shear walls or just residential, we are using Grautec to connect them. The picture on the left is for a shear wall used in a vertical farming project in Dubai. A very interesting project where The columns and the shear walls are precast, and the rest of the decking is steel. And it would be a vertical planting farm of around, I would say, 45 square meters per level. And they will plant lots of greeneries for one of the major airlines in the area. This is another example in Saudi Arabia where they are building U-shape or L-shape modules, 3D modules, and they are connecting it with the grouted sleeves. Some of the reference that I can share with you that we have supplied is for a G+4 residential building in the UAE, 4 buildings of 4 levels. What you can see on the right-hand side is a pipe rack project in Indonesia. One of our flagship projects in India are the Aurobindo and Galaxy and Orbit Tower in Hyderabad. And the interesting aspect of this project is that if you look at the two extremities and the middle, used Grautek to connect column to column, whereas the other wet area in the middle, where you have the toilets and the kitchen and so on and so forth, they have used precast walls, and they are also connected with the Grautek sleeve. The other reference is the Forest City project in Malaysia. We have supplied more than 160,000 pieces for the first package. Unfortunately, now due to COVID, it is on hold, but it's a very interesting residential high-rise project. Another project we have supplied is in the Philippines, again for residential project with the precast wall panels. 13 of those towers are under construction now. And finally, one of the last projects I would like to share with you are the Plum Condo Central Station in Thailand, where precast elements were used above level 8. And I will also share, before we conclude, a small video about the construction, erection, casting of those elements and erection of those elements for that particular project. So thank you for listening to my presentation. Just I would like to conclude by saying grouted sleeve are becoming a very interesting and common tool in the connection of precast element. Selecting the proper model is important, and selecting the specific supplier is also very important. The designer or the client needs to make sure that due diligence is made for the proper quality control certification and accreditation. So thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. I would like to thank the organizers, and I am at your disposals for any questions.
I'm having one question to you. Can you share with us what are the ingredients of this non-shrinking grout?
The non-shrink grout.
Yeah.
This is commonly available grouts in the markets, whether they are made by Sika, Fosroc, BASF, Mapei, and other brands. It's nothing specific, nothing too complicated. We have our own set of criteria that this grout has to meet, but it's nothing out of the common grout that you can find in every market in India and elsewhere. I'll give you a few examples. What we use a lot in the Middle East are Sika 214, Mapei SP, Masterflow, BASF Masterflow 870. So it's very commonly available grouts.
Yeah. In connection with that, as compared to mechanical couplers, what about the durability of this joint?
These joints are equivalent to the design life of the structure. So when you design a building for 50 years, the connection would be for 50 years. When you design a building for 75 years, the connection is designed for 75 years. So it's a design matter and not a product matter. I'm not a structural engineer. I'm sure lots of your distinguished guests are structural engineers and then can develop further on that point. But from a standpoint of my experience in that field, when we talk to the grout manufacturer, they say that once it is confined, it complies with the designed life of the structure.
Okay.
What type couplers is used when it comes to beam to column joints?
The the types I have shown you for a dry connection, to be very honest, uh, to use the grouted sleeve, either the half grouted or the fully grouted sleeve used for dry connection, especially when you have two fixed column, is a bit complicated. You will need to use a wet connection or other methods. So if you use a wet connection, the Grautec P in our range is the suitable model. But you
Okay,
cannot
thank you.
use a dry connection for with the grouted sleeve. It's very complicated.
Okay, thank you, Ali. So we have Uday from Trimble team who will make the presentation. Yeah, Uday, please.
थँक्स सुचिता. हे विसरून चालणार नाही की आपण पुण्यात आहोत, त्यामुळे मी सुरुवात मराठीतून करेन. नमस्कार सर्वांना. मी उदय पंधे. I represent Trimble Solutions India. डायरेक्ट विषयालाच हात घालू. The topic which I'm going to cover today is digitization of construction. Like, and it's the topic of uh, interest for each and everyone in the industry today. There are a lot of products being discussed, there are a lot of technologies being discussed, but how we are different, how we are transforming the digitization process for the entire construction fraternity through different products and processes that I'm going to demonstrate. So the major product which I'm going to speak about is Tekla 2021. So start with some statistics. Like when we talk about how our construction projects, how our construction industry is growing and what are the challenges that it has been facing. So 90% of our projects are late. Late because of a lot of rework, late because of a lot of, I should say, issues with the planning and execution. 40% of they go over budget, there is cost overrun. The reason is, there are a lot of reasons basically. 10% of materials are wasted only because of improper planning, logistics planning, execution management, and even the just-in-time or the failure of just-in-time systems. And like 40% of the entire construction, I should say, work, it becomes unproductive. We term it as mula or waste in our lean construction or the lean sigma principles. If you see the graph for other industries, like over the period of time it grows. However, the productivity for the construction has been declining. So it is only because of lack of adoption of new technologies, lack of adoption of new processes and work methodologies in the construction. If that gets implemented, probably there will be a paradigm shift and there will be a significant change in the productivity itself. Peter Drucker said it very rightly. If you can measure it, you can manage it. So that statistic has been a collaborative effort of different surveys, different, I should say, statistical teams which are working across the industry. So I'm going to talk about 3 C's, which is constructible, content enabled, and connected. Like we are in an era today that the entire project stakeholders, starting from the client, owners, the contractors, the consultants, different consultants as such. Then we have execution teams, field engineers, and sometimes the consultants are sitting in different geographies. So we have to be connected. So we have to be connected to what? We have to create models which are constructible. If you can create a replica of any physical structure which is constructible without any clashes, without having any rework, so that reduces a lot of time, rework, a lot of productivities are increased. And in the previous session, it was very elaborately mentioned that what needs to be changed, that is the pre-construction processes, so that the standardization can happen, so that the modernization can happen, so that the reworks are minimized, wastages are minimized, and also the faster construction can be achieved. So when we talk about constructible, Tekla provides you the platform flexibility as well as feature enabled product which can help you deliver these constructible models. Constructible manizes alatars automobile sector. If you talk about the automobile sector, they create the prototypes for their models. So these are perfectly designed, perfectly executed smaller pieces or the micro or minor pieces of the final product that gets delivered. Construction मध्ये सुद्धा we prepare the kind of 3D models, prototypes and all, but are they really constructible? So with Tekla, you can detail out each and everything that goes into the construction, how it goes into construction, where it goes into the construction, and when it needs to be placed there. Third is content enabled. Like content enabled, when we talk about it, should give information about the geometry. That's very important. It gives information about the uh, quantities. It gives information about the location of it, grade of it, and lot of other materials, embeds, your joint details, your lot of plates or bolts or anything that goes into that. So we have, our design has to be constructible. So if it is constructible, there will be less clashes, and when there are less clashes, then there will be less rework also. So it enriches and it also empowers the people with the data and the resources, as well as the people are connected, they talk seamlessly. So we have platforms which deliver this information from Tekla model to and from to different stakeholders of the project. And the outputs and referrals which are there, these are all content enabled, because every other information that gets shared, it should be linked to some or the other relevant information from that particular project. So it can be located, it can be discussed, reviewed, commented, and executed at all. So when we talk about how Tekla differentiates from some other tools which are there in the market, Tekla is one of the finest tools, the premium product in detailing, and also the BIM processes. So you can see the left-hand side is the model which is created in Tekla. Every other detail that goes into the wall, or maybe it goes into any element of precast project. So these are all detailed out very neatly. There is space, there is feature availability to enhance the detailing to the LOD 500 or even more than that, as compared to the other technologies which are available. So the detail of every particular piece that goes into the construction, which needs to be accounted for, which needs to be costed for and executed for, or even planned for the logistically requirements. So this Tekla particularly gives all the details available. So, so the model is so accurate that you can build from it. Like you don't have to refer any 3D drawings or 2D drawings or even go to the different sections of it. BIM enabled tool itself gives you the flexibility to view that, visualize it artificially. AR, VR, and other aspects are also associated with it. So when we talk about the connected feature of our product Teclas, like there are different stakeholders as I mentioned. So the owner, like he's responsible for the capital program management. When we talk about the general contractor, is responsible for the project management and quality and schedule, as well as the um, uh, design control sometimes, and engineers who are responsible for the design of the product, as well as the architectural and structural detailing of the same. So when we talk about Tekla, we have collaborative platforms also through which the data exchange is very seamless. The data exchange gives the audit trail also. So everybody who is sharing, viewing, and editing the data is made responsible and accountable for the delivery, for the data that goes into and comes out. So apart from that, we have I can go to this. So we believe that the greatest challenge in the construction is the lack of quality. It's quality. It's only because of the rework and other unproductive wastages, and coordinated and timely information which is not available. Sometimes the most of the times in construction the information is shared through shared drives or emails. So this particular tool from Trimble enables the data sharing through a single source of truth or single source of information, and it is accessible to everyone across different platforms. Mobility is also available. So Tekla software from Trimble dramatically improves the way the construction business works and collaborates, providing the most complete constructible information management solution also. So when we talk about content enabled, you can create the beautiful concepts for your projects, like in no time or the shortest possible time. You can compare different alternative options, and you can come out with different variance reports in terms of what is the variation in the quantity, what is the variation in the cost, and what would be the time required to execute each of them separately. You can get the quantity takeoff at a click's time. Like you can just click the quantity takeoff and the reports are generated. You can even generate your bar bending schedules. You can generate your concrete reports, various other material reports also, including your embeds and other inputs that are going to the construction. So you can even visualize these concepts. You can see these 3D models and also the timed phased construction sequencing along with that. So you can detail any product project or any structure using this. You can avoid the errors in drawings, because in BIM, if you change any particular element of the property of that element, every other referral drawing also gets changed. So you can manage these changes easily. You don't have to go through or browse through different drawings and different models to change the piece of information that has been revised. So you can standardization has been a very important topic today. So you can also standardize and modernize along with streamlining your work with different agencies and different processes. So this is for infrastructure also. We have tools starting from this is for linear projects, mainly highways, metros, high-speed rails, or you can talk about the semi-high-speed rails and so on. So we have solutions starting from alignment planning, wherein we can come out with various options considering the environmental, geological, as well as the residential and industrial challenges. So it will provide you multiple options to come out with different alignment options. You can select them, you can design them, you can do the project management also, you can do the AR, VR also, and all that design information from the field goes to the equipments, go to the different equipments working on the site, and the design is executed. So even after that, during the O&M phase also, these particular products and informations can be seamlessly integrated with each other. I need video to be played. Yeah. So this. So what I was talking about, BIM to field and then field to BIM again. So the design was created using Tekla structure. It went to the field. It was executed. This is SX10, which is the scanning tool from Trimble side. It is scanning the entire abutment structure. Once it is scanned, it collects the point cloud data, and it compares with the BIM design that has been created using Tekla. This was the design, and that was the point cloud. You can see the variation analysis or variance analysis can be carried out using this tool. So we have a complete cycle of products and suite of products available, which can help you from conceptual modeling till the O&M phase. Yeah, this was the point cloud data, which is overlapped with the design, and you can see the deviations, if any, and this deviation analysis can be carried out. You can skip that now. So I'll move on to the next product in the offering, and like when I talk about this, like 3D model is generally being prepared and it's shared across different stakeholders. However, yeah. Yeah. This is done when you are placing the elements. So that's what you do that. It is done only after the execution, like your abutment is. The difference between what we have designed and what we have placed. Yes, so the design what goes into the field, and from the field it is scanned again to the BIM. So it does the deviation analysis with the field as well as the design. What is in the field and what was designed with the scanning device. Yeah. Just give me. So there is a tool again from Trimble side which does the integrated 4D and 5D BIM. So when we talk about 4D, it's time, and 5D is the cost management. You can create estimates within the tool itself. So when we talk about how BIM helps into, or the BIM is the origin for 4D and 5D. So you have, say, a column structure, you need different cost line items to be created when you are creating a BOQ. So what you need as an input is a labor and material cost, as well as the equipments and machinery is required. And you can even plan the sequencing of each of your zones, or your floor plates, or your cluster of buildings also. So with this, you will be able to achieve the cost reports, quantity reports, your schedule reports, resource reports, and material reports as and when required, as well as the cash flows. So you can also do the tender management briefly with these tools. So this is the possible outcome of the entire integration that happens with the model, cost, quantity, time, or the schedule, and the simulations can be generated using that. So if you talk about the overall life cycle of the project, so we start with different products, starting from the conceptual model till the commissioning and other things. So we have 3D, 4D, and 5D tools, also the field scanning tools. So and this entire suite of products is connected laterally through Trimble Connect, which is a collaborative common data environment from our side. So there are Tekla products which are newly launched in 2020. The earlier ones are discontinued. These are not available today. So we have carbon, graphite, and diamond suite of products from Tekla available on subscription model. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you there.